6 of the fantasy football season. And here's a few defenses and DSTs I have as sleepers this week. The first one, the Detroit Lions. So the Lions, it's been a tough season for them, no doubt about it. 0-5, but they've lost a few close games the last 2 out of 3 weeks. Week 3 versus Baltimore, 19-17 they lost on a crazy 66-yarder to lose the game. In Week 5 in Minnesota, once again at a last-second field goal, they lose the game, 19-17. So this unit, they're playing pretty tough. They're playing pretty decent defense. And right here, they got an okay matchup this week versus Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals. So right here, the Bengals are coming to town in Detroit. And I think the Lions, they could get a few sacks on Burrow and maybe even a couple turnovers in this ball game. I don't think they'll have the greatest of days, but right now is a sleeper option. They're available in 99% of fantasy leagues. And if you're in a pinch, I would consider them as a play this week. The next defense is the Minnesota Vikings. So the Vikings, the last couple games, their offense hasn't been up to par, but the defense has played a decent role. Week 4 versus Cleveland, 14 points allowed, 3 sacks. And Week 5 versus the Detroit Lions, 17 points allowed, 4 sacks, and a fumble recovery. So right here, Week 6 at Carolina gives up the 13th most fantasy points to defenses. And right here, it looks like Christian McCaffrey is going to be out once again this week here. And Sam Darnold, I know he's been playing great this season, but last week he came back down to earth with 3 turnovers. And in this game, I think the Vikings can make a few plays and cause a few turnovers. I know the Vikings have been dropped in 29% of fantasy leagues after that good matchup versus Detroit, but I think this week at Carolina, they can make a few things happen, and I consider them a sleeper defense. And the third and final defense I have as a sleeper this week is the mentioned Carolina Panthers. They still had a decent fantasy day for the Philadelphia Eagles. 21 points allowed, 2 sacks and a fumble recovery and a safety. And right here, Week 6 versus Minnesota, I know on paper it looks tough that Minnesota gives up the second least amount of fantasy points to DSTs. But right here, this Viking team, like I mentioned, the last 2 weeks, they're not really scoring the football. Most of their roster's banged up with Dalvin Cook not 100%. And Adam Thielen and Justin Jefferson also missing practice early in the week. But I think those guys will play, but they're still not 100% as well. So Carolina, they've been very good at home this season. And I think they could get to Kirk Cousins and make a few plays and cause some havoc in this game. So that's a few DST defenses I have as sleepers for Week 6 of the fantasy football season.